aprendimos a quererte desde la histórica altura donde el sol de tu bravura le puso cerco a la muerte. Aquí se queda la clara, la entrañable transparencia de tu querida presencia, comandante Che Guevara.
Hi everyone and welcome to Classic Gamer 74, episode 101. I'm your host Anthony Gamer, and in today's episode we're going to have our very first Instant Classic episode with the game Just Cause. Now, what makes a game an Instant Classic? Well, a lot of games that are now considered classics have been around for several years. For instance, a game like Pitfall or a game such as Space Invaders have gone on to legendary status because of the fact that, well, not only that they've been around for so long, but they're still games that people like to play today. In other words, you could probably put Space Invaders or Pitfall in front of a young gamer and they'd get as much fun out of it as we did 30 or 40 years ago. Now, on the other hand, what's an instant classic? Well, some games that have been released in recent years are so good that the minute they hit the stores, people are already saying, wow, this game is amazing. People are going to be playing this game for many years to come. Now, other games that are pretty much straight hype, when they come out, people are like, yeah, this game is great, yeah, but then a few months later, or maybe even a year or two later, people have totally forgotten. And of course, this applies not just to video games, but also to music, especially music, and sometimes movies. But an instant classic is a game that upon its release, people pretty much are already saying that, yes, this game is a classic. It doesn't need a few years, it's a classic right now. And I don't think any other game exemplifies that the way Just Cause does. Now, what is the game Just Cause about, and how did I find out about it? Well, to find out the end, we have to go back to the beginning. So let's go back several years and find out how I first learned about the game Just Cause and why I consider it to be an instant classic. Several years ago, one of my former students recommended this game to me because of the fact that I have always been an admirer of Che Guevara. I always had a picture of him up in my classroom, no matter what subject I was teaching in that particular year. After I explained to him and his classmates who the gentleman was in this now iconic photograph, that particular student, whose name was Armand, went home and said, I bet he would like this particular game. So the next day he brought the game in and said, I think you would really like this. Go ahead and give it a try. Let me know what you think. And that particular game was Just Cause. Just by looking at the cover of the game Just Cause, you can kind of understand why Armand thought that I would enjoy it, as there's quite a bit of similarities between the main character here, Rico Rodriguez, and Che Guevara. So anyway, about the game. Just Cause is an action-adventure game set in an open-world environment. It is developed by Swedish developer Avalanche Studios and published by Eidos Interactive. It was released for Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 2, Xbox, and Xbox 360. The area explored during the game is described as being over 1,024 square kilometers or 395 square miles in size, with 21 story missions and over 300 side missions to complete. Okay, Just Cause begins with Rico Rodriguez, an operative for an organization known as the Agency, being dropped off into a Caribbean tropical island called San Espirito, after being called there by his commanding officer, Tom Sheldon, to help overthrow San Espirito's dictator, Salvador Mendoza, whom the agency believes to be in possession of weapons of mass destruction. When Rico gets there, he meets up with Sheldon and fellow agent Maria Kane, who he's had kind of a history with, and they ally themselves with a guerrilla group staging a rebellion against the regime and the Rioja drug cartel, another enemy of the government. Rico assists them in their civil war against Mendoza's corrupt officials, Black Hand mercenaries, and the Montano cartel. Rico can also assist in the liberation of various territories to further destabilize the government's rule over the island. These have got to be probably my favorite side missions and probably my all-time favorite part of the game, where you assist in liberating towns from the local military. You get to do quite a few of these. Not only do you liberate towns, but you also help to get rid of military bases. Now these can be a lot of fun, and the more side missions that you complete, the more you are able to get better weapons, better vehicles, and you are able to move up the ranks within the guerrilla group and with the drug cartel that you're allied with in hopes of overthrowing the government. The core gameplay consists of elements of a third-person shooter and a driving game, with a large open-world environment in which to move. On foot, the player's character is capable of walking, swimming, and jumping, as well as utilizing weapons and basic hand-to-hand combat. Players can take control of a variety of vehicles, including cars, boats, fixed-wing aircraft, helicopters, and motorcycles. And again, the best way to get all these vehicles and weapons is by completing the side missions, and you have about 300 of them in order to do that. Honestly, one of the criticisms that this game received from some fans is that it's kind of a rip-off, they say, that it's kind of a rip-off of the Grand Theft Auto games, but I really have to disagree for several reasons. One is that you're not actually a criminal, as again you are assisting with this revolution, although some people believe that the character Rico Rodriguez is actually a CIA operative. That's not really made clear in this game and from what I hear in any of the 3 sequels. Also, what the fact is that you're basically doing everything to help with the cause, with the revolution. I mean, there aren't any prostitutes, you're not really building up a big cadre of vehicles. Everything you do in this game has purpose for the big picture. Now, what you do in some of these missions, besides, of course, helping to overthrow the government, is that you will help with assassinations, with securing better weapons, getting better vehicles to use, transport money, sometimes help with drug drop-offs, as you will, ally yourself with a particular drug cartel that is hell-bent on getting rid of the corrupt government. Now, I honestly have to say, one of my favorite aspects of this game is that it is basically a non-linear environment. It allows you to explore and choose how you wish to play the game. Although storyline missions are necessary to progress through the game, players can complete them at their own leisure. In other words, if you plan on just driving around in this game, completing side missions, and eventually getting around to the main mission, that's your prerogative. Actually, there's been days where I've played this game and I've just gone around playing the side missions, unlocking better weapons and better vehicles. However, one thing to keep in mind, though, is when you are just going around doing side missions and other things like that, you can attract unwanted attention from the authorities, as the police are after you as well as the military. Now, if you look in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, you can kind of get an idea of how, much wanted and how much attention you are receiving. That is kind of similar to what you had in the Grand Theft Auto games, particularly Vice City. So again, by doing these side missions, which of course is really necessary in order to get further in the game, you do sometimes tend to get yourself in a little bit of trouble and kind of alert the authorities who you are and what you're up to. However, again, when you do these side missions, such as liberating a village or taking over a drug cartel hideout, you are able to get better weapons, but also, most importantly, you're able to unlock safe houses so you can have a place to start from just in case you end up getting yourself killed. Now, unlike on Grand Theft Auto, where if you stand in front of a car, they stop and then you can take it, in this game, don't even think about standing in front of a car because they will run you over. Overall, I have to say this is probably one of the best games in that genre that I've ever played. The sprites are good, the storyline is great, the challenge is there. Most importantly, the fun level is through the roof. Which is sometimes a problem with these newer games because sometimes the graphics are great, the sprites are good, the action is high, but the fun level is just not there. Well, with this game, you have all of the above, and that is why this is the first in this series of instant classics. So the big question here is, who is Rico Rodriguez? Is he based on the real-life Revolucionario Che Guevara? Or perhaps even the man who was there when Che was killed, the CIA operative Felix Rodriguez? Well, here's what I think. I personally believe that he's kind of a combination of not just Che, but of other revolutionaries throughout history. Regardless of your opinion of Che, the various revolutions he took part in, or his political ideologies, there is no doubt that he has gone down as one of the most important figures in world history. The Just Cause series continues to this day, as Just Cause 4 was just been released for the PS4 and Xbox One. Also, for those of you that never got a chance to play the original Just Cause when it was released years ago, it was just made backwards compatible with Xbox One, so you can download it from the Xbox Marketplace 12 years after it was released, and therefore try this original game on Xbox One. I highly recommend the rest of the series as the adventures of Rico Rodriguez continue on. Well, that brings us to the end of another episode of Classic Gamer 74. I really hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to give us a great big thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to click that little bell icon down there so you'll be notified when we upload new episodes. And please consider helping us out on Patreon. The link is in the description below. In our next episode, we are going to discuss games that are related to my pet of choice, that being the cat. You are looking at my cat, Evie, one of 3. And you will also hear about a great contest that I will be holding, so you will not want to miss next week's episode. Well, until next time, this is Anthony Gamer. I hope to see all of you in the next episode. Until then, have yourselves a great day. Hasta la victoria siempre. Viva la revolución. Viva Che.
Hasta siempre, comandante. Aquí se quedará clara la entrañable transparencia de tu querida presencia.